Hello, my name is Matt Cole, and this is my final project for EDT 6030 W57 in the spring semester of 2015 for Professor Dr. Jeffrey Hunt. The title of my project is called Music and Mood, and this project presentation will guide us through all the various components of my project, including identifying the learners, the learning objectives, the learning strategies, the technology used, the different assessments, and also including some exemplars of the project. To identify the learners is a bit tricky because it changes every year, but this project is made for my music appreciation course, which is a study of music history and culture. It's primarily sophomore through senior students, and it's a pretty academically diverse range of students. Some of the students are in the top tier of their class, and some of the other students are in there as an elective and aren't as academically gifted. There's also a great diversity of musical experience. Some have been playing instruments for many years, and some haven't played any instrument ever. And the special assistance needed for individual students is different every year depending on which students are enrolled in the given course. According to the school report card, Crystal Lake South High School is primarily white, and you can see the breakdown of the other races. The class of 2013 ACT composite score was 22 points. The learning styles in this course are also diverse. There's a lot of kinesthetic learners, but there's also a lot of visual learners. And of course in a music class, several auditory learners, although it changes from year to year. And there are typically not students who need to utilize IEPs or 504 plans in this course. There are 6 learning objectives for this project, and each of them are aligned to the Illinois State Board of Education standards. Standard number 1, students will use Audacity to smoothly create a song by slicing together multiple pieces of music with 100% accuracy as defined by the associated rubric. Objective 2, students will articulate the mood of a piece of music using PowerPoint with 80% accuracy as defined by the rubric. Objective 3, students will articulate the attributes of a piece of music that evoke a certain mood using PowerPoint with 80% accuracy as defined by the associated rubric. Objective 4, students will create a PowerPoint slide that follows the outline of the assignment description and has excellent grammar and spelling with 100% accuracy. Objective 5, students will choose at least 3 songs for their new composition, at least 1 unique song per section with 100% accuracy. And Objective 6, students will create a song that is at least 2 minutes long with 100% accuracy. The learning strategies for this unit start with Gagne's condition of learning. Step 1 in Gagne's 9 steps is to gain the attention of the students. The teacher will play examples of the songs that evoke different moods, and the teacher will ask the students to describe the moods that the example conveys. Step number 2, the teacher will synthesize the students' responses into a student-populated list of identified moods. Then the teacher will ask the students to identify what makes the music evoke a specific mood. Further, what type of music would a student pick if they were trying to evoke a specific mood? The teacher will then upload this list as an attachment on the assignment's Google site. In step 3, at this point, the teacher will refer back to previous lessons regarding definitions of tempo, style, timbre, instrumentation, to assist the students in their ability to articulate why certain music evokes certain moods. In step 4, the teacher will hand out the assignment guide and the rubric. The teacher will talk the students through the guide and the rubric to make sure that the expectations for the assignment are clear and that all questions are answered. In step 5, this is where the project-based and resource-based learning will take over. Technology will play a heavy component in this section. The students will be directed to a Google site for this assignment that includes video tutorials, copies of the assignment guide and rubric, and an exemplar of the project. Students will be encouraged to learn the necessary skills through self-directed exploration of the vetted materials on the Google site, and the Google site will be the conduit through which all of the information is shared to the students. The video tutorials will all be embedded in the Google site. For step 6, this is where the project-based learning component comes into play. The assignment calls for students to create their own song, which is a compilation of different songs. The compilation that they create needs to include songs that evoke at least 3 different moods. Students will also create a corresponding PowerPoint presentation that identifies the songs they choose, identifies the targeted moods, and articulates the song attributes that evoke the targeted mood. Since feedback is an important part of Gagne's condition of learning, as well as for project-based learning, students will have an opportunity to share their music compilation with 2 of their peers. It is at this point that students will be able to receive feedback about what moods their song compilations actually evoke. If the response is not what they desire, they will have a chance to revise their project before they present to the class. In step 8, the teacher will assess the song compilations based on the assignment rubric. And in step 9, the teacher will continue to refer back to this lesson as students write in their listening journal for the rest of the semester. The assignment will create a common vocabulary for the class whenever the class is discussing what they hear when they're listening to music. Using Gagne's condition 9 steps of learning, it is easy to see where all of the learning objectives will be accomplished. In this case, all of those objectives will be accomplished in steps 6 and 7. This project also capitalizes on B.F. Skinner's theories, his philosophy of classroom management more specifically. The goal of psychology should be to find a way to make education enjoyable and effective for all students. Skinner's learning theory relies heavily on this assumption that the best way to modify behavior is to modify the environment. And then it also capitalizes on Bloom's taxonomy. This project begins at the lower levels of the taxonomy with understanding the information, but the final project guides students through analyzing, evaluating, and even creating. The day-by-day breakdown starts with day 1 as an introduction to the lesson. The teacher will play examples of the songs that evoke different moods. The teacher will then ask the students to describe the mood that the examples convey. The teacher will synthesize the student responses into a student-populated list of identified moods, and then the teacher will ask the students to identify what makes the music evoke a specific mood. Further, what type of music would a student pick if they were trying to evoke a specific mood? The teacher will upload this list as an attachment on the assignment's Google Doc, and at this point the teacher will refer back to the previous lessons regarding definitions of tempo, style, timbre, and instrumentation to assist the students in their ability to articulate why certain music evokes certain moods. Next, the teacher will hand out the assignment guide and rubric, and the teacher will walk through the guide with the students to make sure that the assignment is clear. In days 2 and 3, technology plays a heavy component. The students will be directed to the Google site for this assignment that includes video tutorials, copies of the assignment guide and rubric, and an exemplar of the project. Students will be encouraged to learn the necessary skills through self-directed exploration of the vetted materials on the Google site, and the Google site will be the conduit through which all the information will be shared to the students. The video tutorials will all be embedded in the page. Further, this is where the project-based learning component of the project comes into play. The assignment calls for students to create their own song, which is a compilation of different songs. The compilation they create needs to include songs that evoke at least 3 different moods. These days will take place in the computer lab, and students will work during these 2 days to learn all the necessary skills to complete the project, gather the music they will use to compile into their newly created song, and cut their new song together to create the corresponding PowerPoint. On day 4, since Feedback's an important part of Gagne's condition of learning. Students will have the opportunity to share their music compilation with 2 of their peers. It's at this point that students will be able to make any adjustments before their final presentation. And then days 5 and 6, students will present their newly created songs to the class. The technology that this project uses is audio files, including the ability to cut those audio files in a program called Audacity, PowerPoint for the presentation, and Google Sites. The potential obstacles for each of these would be students who struggle to use computer technology, in which case the teacher needs to be prepared, needs to be ready to assist that student, and if necessary, modify the activity in a way that the student will be able to succeed. Thankfully, the computer lab has all of the relevant technology that the project needs. And the last component of technology that we will use is email, to be able to share the files back and forth, and to be able to share the files with the teacher prior to the final presentation. There are 2 primary components to the assessment of this project. The first is more for the students. The students will be graded based on the associated rubric as found on the Google site, as well as on the handout that will be given to the students on day 1 of the project. The second part of the assessment is more for the instructor. There is a Google form at the bottom of the Google site that students will be asked to fill out upon conclusion of the project. This Google form will help the teacher identify weaknesses and strengths of the project and to modify it for future classes. As with all project-based learning, this project will allow students to own their education in a unique way. They will get to choose the music they select, they will get to cut it in an order that they choose, and they'll get to present it, which allows them to truly own their education. I've mentioned a couple of times that a Google site will be the conduit through which all information will be presented for this project. Next, I want to guide you through the Google site. The Google site is laid out in a clear and systematic way with a table of contents at the top. The table of contents is hyperlinked to the different components of the project, and students will be able to easily navigate through the assignment description, the assignment rubric, as well as video tutorials. The first on how to mix on Audacity, the second on how to convert YouTube videos into MP3, the third on how to use PowerPoint, and then at the bottom of the page are exemplars for the students to utilize. Finally, I will guide you through an exemplar of what this student project will look like. The music playing is an exemplar of the audio file that the students will create. They'll need to identify what mood the music creates. They'll need to identify what attributes of the music make the song evoke that particular mood. And then they'll need to name the song or songs they choose for that section, including the name of the artist. I'll skip forward in the music. And in the presentation, the students will guide us through step by step their PowerPoint presentation, which outlines their song. Again, identifying the attributes of the song that convey the specific mood, and identifying the different music they chose to use. In my example, the final music I chose was Johnny Cash, Hurt, conveying the mood of sad. And here are the attributes and the song. This concludes my presentation.